Welcome to the Geronimo Trail Scenic Byway in Sierra County, New Mexico.
A trail that takes you off the superhighway and invites you to travel the byways and experience the rich and storied past of the Old West.
Our video tour begins at the Geronimo Spring in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Geronimo and his warriors understood the healing properties of the hot mineral pools and traveled often to this spot to bathe their wounds and heal themselves in these waters. Legend has it that enemies laid down their weapons as they made their way to the healing waters. If you're visiting the Geronimo Trail in October, you can observe the blessing of the spring during Sierra County's annual Geronimo Days Peace Gathering.
A weekend of song and dance highlighting three cultures from the land of enchantment.
You know your blues won't mean a thing and you get in the swing. Say a cowboy's life is for me. Soon all your cares you'll be shedding, and likely you'll be heading to the Cowboy Jubilee. Cowboy Jubilee. Cowboy Jubilee.
Today's visitors can take advantage of the healing waters at bathhouses and hotels throughout the town, originally named Hot Springs. The entire downtown business district covers a huge pool of 110-degree mineral water. The name was changed in 1950 when radio and television star Ralph Edwards began looking for a town in America to change its name in honor of the 10th anniversary of his Truth or Consequences radio show. In return, he would bring his show to that town for one weekend. Well, the citizens of Hot Springs went to the polls, and the Truth or Consequences New Mexico Ralph Edwards Fiesta was born in May of 1950. TRC's favorite son has continued to return the first weekend in May for the past 50 years.
I love the people, and I have the feeling that they like me. As long as there is this tremendous bond, well, let's face it, it's a very unusual thing to have a city named after your show, and for them, there is no other Truth or Consequences. You know, there are hot springs all over the place, but only one Truth or Consequences.
Before you begin your tour, we suggest a visit to the Geronimo Springs Museum, which traces the history of the area back to the dinosaur.
This is our Apache room. The Apache were the Native Americans of this area. This is a wax statue of Geronimo, and he was just that tall. Everybody thinks Geronimo was huge, but he really wasn't. He was a very angry man. His wife and 4 children and mother were killed, and he spent most of his life getting revenge. This one over here is Victorio. He roamed in this area. He was the chief of the Warm Spring Apaches. the Forest Service helped us take it down and move it down here. The archaeologists went in, they marked every little log and every little stick. So it's just like it was up there, except for what's in the interior. There wasn't anything in the interior.
As you begin your adventure through Sierra County, you'll pass through Williamsburg and Las Palomas. Artists, craftsmen, and farmers live side by side. The word caballo is Spanish for horse, and the name was given to the lake, the state park, and the mountains east of the lake because of the wild horses that roamed in that area. Sierra de los Caballos, Mountain of the Horses. The discovery of gold led to the founding of Hillsboro in the 1880s. People still pan for gold in the Percha Creek that runs beside the village. In 1914 and again in 1972, that mild-looking stream overflowed its banks and caused major damage, death, and destruction.
History buffs will enjoy wandering along the boardwalk on Main Street, visiting the general store that dates back to 1879. Admiring the residence, same circa, with its blue trim so prevalent in New Mexico, and believed by painting the trim the color of the Madonna, evil spirits will not enter the doors or windows.
The Black Range Museum is housed in the former Ocean Grove Hotel. The hotel was owned and operated by Sadie Orchard, Hillsboro's famous Madam. Stories have been told and written about this shady lady's escapades.
But old-timers in the village will remember her as an angel of mercy who made bandages from her fancy petticoats, paid for medical supplies, and nursed the sick and dying during the terrible influenza epidemic of 1918.
Hillsboro's Union Church, built in 1892, boasts pews from an opera house and a chandelier from a Mississippi riverboat.
Apple orchards abound in the area, and the village is home to the annual Hillsboro Apple Festival. Collectibles, antiques, arts, crafts, and the best apple pie in the nation.
G. Green. But in today's world,
Tell the kids I did it.
Why?
I'd rather have more time.
Known as the gem of the Black Range, Kingston is nestled at the foot of the Black Range Mountains, bordering the Gila National Forest. A rich silver strike gave birth to the town site in August of 1882. When the silver dissipated, so did the town.
The one-room schoolhouse still serves as headquarters for the oldest active social club in the United States, the Spit and Whittle Club. The brass bell in front of the fire station was used to call volunteers, warn of Indian attacks, and sound mail call. It is noted with pride that the bell is lined with Kingston silver.
The Black Range Lodge has stone walls built from the ruins of Pretty Sam's Casino and the Monarch Saloon. Lodge owners conduct workshops on building houses of straw bales, and visitors can view examples of these structures on the property. Continuing west, you'll pass through Emery Pass. At an altitude of 8,200 feet, Emery Pass promises a spectacular view of the 3-million-acre Gila National Forest. San Lorenzo is one of the oldest Hispanic farming communities on the trail. It is the home of the San Lorenzo Mission, dedicated to St. Lawrence, the saint of laborers. The town of Membres was named for and nestled along the Membres River. The Mogollon Membres Indians were area cliff dwellers from 300 BC to 1300 AD and left behind many pictographs as well as their world-famous black-on-white pottery.
Before you leave the paved area of this trail, we suggest you check into the ranger station for information that will help make your wilderness experience safe and memorable.
Photographers and nature lovers will welcome this segment of the Geronimo Trail, for within this forest is the first U.S. designated wild area in the world, the Gila Wilderness.
This is Apache country. Visitors can drink from an active spring that was central to a prehistoric Apache hunting camp.
Be aware that you are crossing the Continental Divide. Rivers west of the divide flow to the west, and rivers to the east flow to the east. The Continental Divide National Scenic Trail is 3,100 miles long, covering 5 states from Canada to Mexico. The Gila, covering 300 miles, is the southernmost part of that trail.
During the year, rangers conduct seminars and working vacations for volunteers of all ages who help clean and maintain the trail while they experience and enjoy supervised camping in the wilderness.
Because the grade's going to be less than 10%, you'll be able to put them in, they'll be in there forever.
I think that after this first week that we've done, that what we've learned, like with the switchback, and Tim had said, we're going to put you on this switchback and let you do this, and then you can put any of us together and know what we're doing. So it's given us a lot of experience on like the tougher part of trail building, really, I think. And I think that, yeah, we can come back if we go on another project where we trail build, that what we learn here is going to be very, very beneficial, because we're getting some really good experience going out and just doing what we're doing. And the guys here in the Forest Service are teaching us a great deal about trail building and just about being in the wilderness and backcountry.
But I just felt like I wasn't really contributing much, and I look at the AmeriCorps NCCC as a chance to see parts of the country that I otherwise wouldn't probably get a chance to spend a lot of time in, but not just benefiting myself, having a chance to improve my surroundings and help other people, and just get more out of traveling and seeing the country when I'm not just kind of wasting time, when I'm actually giving something back.
We try to provide a unique opportunity for volunteers. We want to experience that they can come out, they can have a safe, fun experience out on the trail, but they can also learn a lot of stuff, which is why we tend to do a fair amount of outdoor education with our volunteer groups. We want the benefits from the volunteer program to be mutual. And the other thing is that in establishing a volunteer program that has certain goals for the volunteer as well as the Forest Service, I think it allows us to have a program that's a little more attractive to various organizations. In other words, we'd be a place where they want to come and do some work, and it's helped us out immensely.
Wall Lake is a man-made lake on the east fork of the Gila River. The cliff wall that you see was once prehistoric Indian cliff dwellings.
You may want to experience a taste of ranch life at Beaver Head Lodge. Still the center of a working ranch, the lodge has been restored and is open to guests.
Leaving the forest, we descend into the foothills of the Black Range to Winston and Chloride, ranch country. In 1957, this area was the site of the last cattle drive in Sierra County. Life magazine covered these cowboys as they drove 1,500 head of cattle north across the plains of St. Augustine to Magdalena and the railroad. Winston and Chloride were surrounded by 12 silver mines. One of these mines, the St. Cloud, is still operating today.
History buffs will be happy to note that although Chloride's population declined when silver ran out, restoration has begun, and there is a museum with many original artifacts from its glory days.
Appreciate having people come up and see the museum. We like to talk with the people that are interested. We like to explain what we know of the town and of the buildings here. It's particularly interesting to hear them talk about the places they've been or places where they were raised. It's nice for people to be able to drive through, look at those buildings, and maybe imagine what happened in them. And in the case of the museum here, come inside and see some of the things. When we found this building, we thought, here's a whole building full of things that should be saved to show to people. The shelves are the original shelves. We put those back in. These counters are the original counters. The stuff you see in here was in here. It's been here for since the turn of the century. There are two other very small buildings. They're a log building and adobe building, which were the first buildings in town, built prior to 1881 as miners' cabins, and we'll restore those. When we first got here, we asked the old-timers if anybody had ever really been hung from that tree. And if the young miners or cowboys got too exuberant from too much drink, they'd bring them out here, duck them in the tank, and chain them to the tree until they sobered up. This was the building built by Austin Crawford. Late in his life, about 1815 or 1820, he had a vision that God was going to kill the bad people in Chloride with a bad hailstorm. And so he built this building with a real steep pitched roof to turn the hail. It was to protect him and his family. It's got the steep pitched roof so it turned the hail, and the other unique thing about it is you can't go from any room to any other room. You have to come outside. All the doors come to the outside. That was so nobody would get trapped in the building. It never was used. There never was a storm, and Mr. Crawford never lived in it. The building was used for years as a boarding house for the teacher and other people who lived here in town. It's nice for people to be able to drive through, look at those buildings, and maybe imagine what happened in them. And in the case of the museum here, come inside and see some of the things. As far as it being a place where we have hundreds of visitors a day, we don't want that. Our neighbors don't want that. That would kind of destroy our way of life.
Mining spawned Chloride's companion village, Fairview. In 1930, the name was changed to Winston in honor of pioneer Frank Winston, a community-minded citizen and legislator whose home still stands in that village. If artifacts are high on your list, then the Cuchillo Bar and Store is a must-stop, must-see. A pecan festival is held in Cuchillo on the richest pecan farm each February. Cuchillo San Jose Catholic Church still conducts Mass.
New Mexico's water playground, Elephant Butte Lake and Dam in the middle of the desert. The lake takes its name from a huge outcropping of lava 300 feet above the surface that resembles an elephant. At one time, this body of water was the largest impoundment in the United States. Covering 38,000 acres, it irrigates over 155,000 acres of farmland today. The Geronimo Trail encompasses a remarkable amount of the history of the men and women who helped to settle and unsettle New Mexico and the West.
We hope you enjoyed our adventure and that you'll plan to return very soon to the Geronimo Trail and the Land of Enchantment. For more information, write Geronimo Trail, 211 Main Street, Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, 87901, or call area code 505-894-1968. Thank you.
Come along and ride with me, see a part of history along the Geronimo Trail. See all the wonders of this land, not so far from the Rio Grande along the Geronimo Trail. You can feel the ghost of history as you travel through this land, where once the red man wandered till he made his final stand, where the miners and the settlers staked their claim upon the land, finding gold and silver riches underneath the desert sand. Come along and ride with me, see a part of history along the Geronimo Trail. See all the wonders of this land, not so far from the Rio Grande along the Geronimo Trail.